Mm. Oh, goodness me. And hello, everybody, and welcome to Own Your Shit Friday. We resume our shows tonight, and I have with me very soon the amazing, abundant Abbey, who's coming on as a special guest. So I'm very excited to share her story with all of you. One moment, everybody, we have a hitch. Okay, what's going on? A panelist link. Okay, I have myself. Let's have a look and see how we can fix this. Did that work, Abby? Unmute. Let's see if we can get your video. Promote to panelist. Okay, I think we're good. Sorry about the delayed start, everyone. Haven't done this before. There she is, Miss Abundant Abbey. Hello, Miss Abbey.
Hello, how you going? That was hilarious. Good to see your beautiful face.
Now, I'm just going to turn our recording back on.
Okay.
So, just letting everybody know that I've got a bit of a cough and I might break out and disappear off screen for a moment in fits. So, if that happens, Abby's going to fill the gaps, okay?
Absolutely. Because I hate to talk. That's going to be real difficult.
Well, welcome, everybody, to Own Your Shit Friday. I'm Kathy Tate, the Baldwarrior, an author, international speaker, transformational coach and management accountant, currently sucking on a cough lozenge so that I don't break out into fits. Here's hoping. And with me tonight is the amazing Abundant Abbey, one of my very dearest friends, I'm happy to say, who is coming to us live from Bali, where she is living her dream life. And tonight, Abby's going to tell us a bit about her story and her past self-sabotaging behaviour, because we've all done it, and overcoming it is a challenge. I want to share with you as many stories about that as I can to inspire you and hopefully motivate you to overcome your own self-sabotaging behaviour so you too can create your dream life. So I can feel a cough coming on, so I'm going to get Abbey to tell us who she is and what she does and why I think she's so amazing, because she is. Take it away, Abbey.
Thanks, gorgeous lady. So wonderful to be here. First of all, guys, I need to apologise. I know the light is quite dim, and I'm sorry if I'm bending over and you can see my cleavage, but I was having a romantic dinner with my partner, and I love Kathy so much that I decided to break away from him for 20 minutes and come and talk to you guys. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Abundant Abbey, and for those of you that do know me, you would have seen a bit of a transition lately. So I still have my coaching business. I'm the ultimate life change strategist, and I literally help women from all over the globe to transform their minds and create the life that they truly deserve. But lately, I've had an amazing transition, and I'm creating a bit more of a dream and a bit more of a legacy. So with my amazing, beautiful partner, Ben, I own and operate a reduced impact mining company and a global rehabilitation company, where we are showing the world that the mindset of mining is a little bit outdated, and that mining companies can rehabilitate in a way that is true and put the earth back the way that it was intended, in a way that is both cost effective for them and ethical by true standards. But more importantly, I am also a co-founder and the chief editor of a website called Ready Set Mom. That's Ready Set MOM, where our purpose and whole aim is to provide a community for mums that is completely non-judgmental and make make the job of mumming as easy and as manageable as it can be in a way that's super educational, valuable, and pretty freaking hilarious. So that's me. That's me. That's what I do.
Amazing. Thank you, Abbey. And we'll put a link in the comments for Ready Set Mum, so you can all jump over there and have a look, because there's some amazing information and videos that Abbey's put together about her journey as a mum. And I think you're interviewing other mums too. Is that right, Abbey?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not the only expert. We ask mums from all over the world about their tips, their experiences. It's very, very real. And also, if you subscribe to us on YouTube, you get to see donuts over my boobies. So the videos that we put out.
Can't miss that one, guys.
Well, Lex, our videographer, is hilarious. So the videos that we put out are super informative, extremely well researched, but it's not just information that's coming from me. Our whole entire team are mums, and we also gather content and information from everyone all over the world. But if you guys are like us, you know, sitting down watching the same old boring mum YouTube videos isn't that fun. So we've upped the level a bit, and we try and up the level a little bit more every time. So it's good fun.
Fantastic. So this sounds to me like it's one of your life passions. Do you want to tell everyone about your life passions?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, my life passion and what it stems down to, because as mums and as women, and now I have been called out a number of times, many men and many dads, is not only being a champion for yourself, which is something that I didn't understand until just before I met you, really, Kathy, was it? And living your best life and living life to be completely and wholly who you are, and understanding that the standards that we hold ourselves into just aren't good enough. And they're actually not even, I'm allowed to swear on your page, aren't I, mate? Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Shut up, Abby. Of course you are. The standards that we hold ourselves to aren't even fucking real. And the confines and the cages that we hold ourselves aren't even real. But for me, it goes a little bit deeper for that, because I grew up a bit of a people pleaser. Up until about 4 or 5 years ago, I really struggled to be able to do anything and live my dreams on my own, with me as the purpose. So for me, a lot of my purpose comes down to my children, because they were actually the Kickstarter in my journey. So for me, it is realizing that if you want your kids to be awesome, you have to be awesome. And that is why I do what I do. The mining and rehabilitation comes down to, hang on a minute, I'm going to hand an earth over to my kids, and I don't really want to stand up and go, yeah, I saw this happening and watched this problem and didn't do anything about it. Here you go, now you solve it. And same with Ready Set Mum. As a mum, I know how hard it is. It's not the easiest gig. Everyone pretends like it's the best thing in the world and it's enjoyable, and in a way it is, but we all know that that's bullshit, right? We all know that it is the best thing in the world, but it's also hard. So being able to help mums not only with their mindset, but just with ways that are really manageable to make their life a little bit easier, and help people to understand that they are absolutely capable of achieving what they wanted to. But my purpose revolves around me and my kids, and that understanding of whatever I possess, I pass on. So if I'm going to live a shit life, essentially my kids are going to grow up seeing me live a shit life, and I'm going to pass that on, and then they're going to do it. You know, I want to be the one to turn around and champion my children. I don't want to have to point out Michael Jordan and Oprah Winfrey and go, oh yeah, well, I didn't live my dreams, so don't be like me. But Oprah Winfrey, no, that's bullshit. You know, I want to be, you know, you can do it because I can, not go and do it because I didn't and I regret it. That is my life purpose and passion, helping people, but at the same time helping myself and my children. And now beautiful Ben, of course. I better not forget him. I'll get in trouble. No.
I love it, Abbey. That's amazing. And you're so right about, you know, being that role model for your kids, because, you know, that's what we model our behaviour on, is our parents. And, you know, a lot of the behaviours and habits that we have as adults, we've grown up with and learnt from, you know, the people around us. So such a good point. So tell us about the happiest time in your life and when that has been.
Do you know what, Kathy? This is an amazing question, and it's amazing because I'm going to be really honest with you and say that the happiest point in my life is now. Yesterday I would have said yesterday. The day before I would have said yesterday, and that's not to say that life at the moment for me isn't a struggle, and it's not to say that we're not facing our challenges and you know, we don't have those moments of rock bottoms, but that is to say that literally coming into your own power, and being able to remove yourself from any toxicity, from any stressor, to actually be able to look yourself in the mirror after so many years. You know, up until 4 years ago, I could never have done this. I surrounded myself with people that weren't right for me. I was also a very toxic person because of the way I felt about myself. So to be able to look myself in the mirror, be completely not only comfortable, but kick-ass happy with who I am, and know that I'm doing everything in the power to be the best for me and be the best for my children, that every day I wake up, and it sounds like such a freaking cliche, doesn't it? I'm sitting here listening to myself going, oh, it sounds like a cliche, but it's the truth. Every day I wake up happy, and no matter what those challenges are, because every day I work on myself. Every day it's become a habit to work on myself every day. So every day I discover something awesome about myself and about my life. So my happiest is now. Most people go, oh, it was the day I had my kids. The day I had my kids, I was shit scared. I didn't know what to do. I told you before I got Ayla, and I was like, oh shit, now I've got to keep you alive. I don't know how this works. And don't get me wrong, I love that. I absolutely love her, but I was so encapsulated by fear. And same with Indiana. So yeah, every day I wake up happier, even if it's not a good day. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's great. And it shines through you too, Abby. It really does.
Oh, I love you so much.
So now we're going to switch it up, and I want you to talk about your lowest point and what sort of self-sabotaging you were doing when you were at that low point.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can honestly say that we have low points every day with starting a new business, separating from a partner, all of those things. We have low points every day. The difference now to 4 years ago when I was at my lowest is that I no longer self-sabotage. And if I do, I've created the skills through working with you and other wonderful people that allows me to capture them in their tracks and stop it from happening, right? Yeah. So 4 years ago, I was a miserable sod. I can honestly sit here and go, I was a victim. I was a martyr. I was miserable with myself. I didn't like myself. I cared and gave too many F's about other people's perceptions of me. And the only way that I was able to feel happy was when I knew that everyone else around me perceived me in a good way, whether they were people that cared about me or not. And the funny thing about that is that I put more energy into the people who weren't in my corner, and to the people that weren't my friends, and to the people that didn't actually deserve my awesomeness and who I was, than the people that did. And I actually put so much energy into them that I wasn't being the best version of me. I didn't know who I was. Who am I kidding? I didn't even know who I was back then, right? I was too busy trying to control what everyone thought of me to put any time and energy into thinking about what I wanted. I would put so much time into that I wasn't parenting the way that I wanted to, that I couldn't focus on my job, that I couldn't think about my dreams. And that is literally the way that I self-sabotaged, by allowing toxic people and toxic influences into my life. I self-sabotaged by looking for all the evidence that I wasn't worthy of anything. So if even one person said something bad about me, I would go, well, there you go. Isn't that proof that I'm just a shit person and I don't deserve to be happy? 15 people could be saying freaking great things, but I focused on the one person that wasn't, right? I outwardly blamed. So I found reason outside of myself for my problems, which meant that I never had to take responsibility or control over that and do anything about it. Like ever, right? Because if it's someone else's problem, you don't have to do anything about it. And I didn't take care of myself very well. So I looked good, I was fit, and I ate really well. But I never said nice things to myself. Poor Kathy, she's going to have a coughing fit. I didn't eat well, and I definitely didn't sleep enough, because I spent more time awake worrying than I spent more time asleep relaxing. So, and I, now that Kathy's here, I've got the floor, I can say what I want. Look out, guys. But back then, before undertaking this journey in mindset and self-love and understanding how your subconscious brain works in order for you to self-sabotage, I actually didn't even realize that was self-sabotaging behaviors, right? I thought that was extremely normal, because I was brought up with very loving parents, but with parents that were doing exactly that. So when you're brought up around that, and this is where my possess and pass comes from, your kids are going to possess whatever you pass on to them, the good and the bad. So when you grow up in a community or around people who are victims, whose comfort zone is being unhappy or being in a state of drama, you learn those behaviors as well, and it becomes a part of your normal. Even though it's not fulfilling, it becomes a part of your normal, it becomes your comfort zone, and it's very hard to break those habits without the right support. Really, really hard. And you look at everyone else and you're like, well, how come they're so happy? They must be lucky. Bullshit, right? They just become masters of their own brain, worked out how to love themselves, how to get rid of the shit people in their life, and made a choice to do things differently.
Absolutely. Thank you for covering for me then too. And,
anytime, gorgeous.
So frustrating, this cough. Anyway, yeah, look, I was listening to all of that while I was coughing and dying inside. But yeah, it is so important, to believe in yourself and have that self-confidence and that inner strength. I think that can get us through anything if we believe in ourselves, right? So, and an amazing supportive partner is also very, very helpful. I've recently learnt, luckily just met my man of my dreams, and it changes everything, doesn't it, Abby? It's just amazing to have that unconditional support, I have to say.
Absolutely.
Very lucky for us.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting. And Kathy and I actually had a conversation. So Kathy is one of my dearest friends. She's one of my marble jar people. But I honestly think that the reason that we have found the man of our dreams is because we were happy with ourselves. We got it wrong so many times that we knew what it was going to be when we got it right, but we were so happy with ourselves and so comfortable with ourselves and so sure of ourselves that we weren't actually going to settle for anything less. And this is an interesting conversation to have, because I know if people had have told me this 4 years ago, I'd probably be looking at them going, how many self-help books have you read and invoked? What's wrong with you? That's it. Like it's a different language, but once you actually undertake the work, it makes a whole heap of sense. And it's amazing being so comfortable in yourself in a relationship like with our beautiful men. And I've now got to meet Kathy's man, albeit via the internet, but I still have. But also so comfortable with yourself, the people that you surround yourself with, where you actually get to a point where you don't edit the conversations that you're having, and you don't pre-think what you're talking about and how that person is going to perceive it, because the outcome of what they think doesn't bother you because you're okay in here. So you don't have to worry about the okay out there. Yeah,
it's a whole nother level. And I think you're absolutely right when you say that, we had to become our true selves first. And there's a universal force at work, in my belief, that once you do become that true self and you are completely comfortable with who you are, no matter what, then, you attract the same sort of person who also has that self-belief. And that's when the magic really happens, because, two minds, two hearts supporting each other, then anything truly becomes possible. When there's, it's like the saying, the sum of parts is greater. No, the sum of parts is greater.
I've never heard it.
No, basically what it means is that one and one working together isn't just two. It is way more powerful than just two. And that's the case, I think, once you figure out your true self and start having the courage to live it. And damn what anybody else thinks. Damn them. Damn society and their rules and their boxes and their norms. We are just going to be authentic to what we believe and love. And that's the most fun part, actually, for me.
Absolutely. It's a good space to be, isn't it, babe?
It's amazing. It's amazing. And, all you guys out there can have it too. We promise you that. You've just got to do the work. And, the work's not easy. The work's painful. The work's challenging. But, Jesus, on the other side of it, life's amazing. It really is. To be freed from those fears and those boxes and those norms that they strangled me for most of my life. And, I'm sure that you guys out there can relate to feeling strangled and feeling held down. Well, there's a way to free yourself. come to the Baldwarrior.
Absolutely. And that's so true. And I love that you said it takes work. I had this conversation with a beautiful client today who I've now actually referred to Kathy, because Kathy is what she needs. The Baldwarrior is what she needs, I should say. Sorry, Kathy, I went for your name, not your brand. It's funny because my kids actually call her Auntie Kathy the Baldwarrior. Like when we walk down the street, my kids give Kathy's elevation pitch and forget mine. Right, like it's really funny, but it takes, what people don't understand, I think, when they're in this space of explosion, in this volcano moment where they're like, something's got to give, there has to be a realistic, and Kathy's just given it, that it does take work. And work literally means, and work, the word work and the word discipline literally means doing something that you don't necessarily want to do. So if you're not someone that's used to doing self-work every day, and you know, the personal development space and self-development space is so big now, but in the beginning when they introduced it, they actually called it self-work and personal work, but that word work didn't work for people, because people actually realized that they had to put time and effort in because of the word work, right? And there's no easy way around that. You actually have to put work in, which means committing a little bit of time every day or every week to doing something that isn't necessarily habit, might make you feel a little bit uncomfortable, and might make you find out a few truths about yourself. Like, well, hang on, the two people that I've spent a lot of time with for my whole life walking on eggshells, but I've spent the last 15 years trying to keep me happy, actually aren't worth my time anymore. So now I've got to work out a way to get me comfortable, to get rid of them or to stand up to them. Or absolutely. Or like me, and you know, the work around, like I'm a survivor of sexual abuse. So the work around understanding to the point where I had to understood that I could make a choice to no longer act out that every day as that person. Like I used to introduce myself to partners within 3 days. I felt obligated to tell them, oh, by the way, I've been sexually abused, because that's what I saw on the TV. And that's what I felt like you had to be, to give them an out, right? You talk about self-sabotage, to let them run, because obviously I was going to turn into this crazy person, because that's what I'd seen. But it took work to get to that point, to realize that I didn't have to behave like that anymore. So I've just taken over Kathy's show. Sorry, Kathy, but understand that work, it's just a little bit every day, but it actually means putting some time, some effort, some energy in, and doing some things that make you feel a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, so tell us your process, how you turned your life around, Abbey. And I'm just going to nick off and have another cough.
Have another cough? So that time and effort. So for me, you know, and there are three things in your life that will usually create a reason for you to change. That will usually be something big enough and motivating enough, or, you know, emotionally significant enough for you to change. And that's when someone around you dies, or you've had a near-death experience. So when your life is threatened, when your mortality is threatened, or finding a partner that you believe is your soulmate, you're going to be with forever, or when your kids were born. For some other people, other things happen, but for me, it was when my kids were born. I literally got to what I call my volcano moment. It was my moment of explosion. It was literally when I was so low that I felt like if I continued the same way that I was continuing, treating myself the way I was treating myself, treating the people around me the way that I was treating me, putting up with behavior, not being honest about who I was, what I wanted. And I had good people around me as well, don't get me wrong, but that wasn't where I was putting my energy and my headspace. Is that I got to a point where I was literally like, well, I'm either going to explode and go crazy, or I'm going to like combust inwards, and just the essence of me is going to deflate and float out. And because I was on the point where I was just starting to feel so frustrated, so upset, so helpless, but also so dead. So the first moment for me was, what had actually happened was my little daughter, Ayla. She was about 18 months old. She was absolutely gorgeous. But I was working really hard. My relationship was breaking down. My partner, I didn't understand our languages of love. He was a provider. I wanted him to be home. It was constant talk around money. I sort of lost myself. I was really busy trying to protect the other people's perceptions around me. And my little daughter was pleading for my time, and I just didn't have time because I kept myself so busy at work and taking care of other people, and, you know, not being happy. That one particular night, to cut a long story short, she actually came up to me and slammed my computer down after a number of times asking me for my time, and started crying, and it broke my heart. And I had a moment where I was like, well, what am I doing? You know, you've dedicated yourself to being a mother, but you're not even being a mother. And I literally took some time out to think. I removed myself for about 4 days, and I just sat and I did some self-reflection, and it hit pretty hard. I realized that I was in a job that I loved, that I thought that I loved, but I probably wasn't there for the reasons that I was meant to love it. That I was in a relationship that was just probably so far gone. It was so far gone. And I'd turned into that couple that I'd seen my whole entire life, where all the conversations revolved around money, and it was dog eat dog, and who was a better person and who was the worst person. And, you know, my partner was never home. And I realized that I hated myself, and I'd given up on so many of my passions and things that used to keep me happy. I used to love traveling. I used to love playing sport. I used to love spending time volunteering and helping people, but I'd become so constricted by what I was living that, yeah, I literally got to a point of explosion. And I needed that moment to stop and wake me up. And it was taking the time for about 4 days and realizing in that moment, well, if something doesn't change, I'm going to die on the inside, and my kids are going to grow up just like me and think that this is normal. And I don't want them to think that misery and being a victim and busy and unhappy is normal, because that's how I grew up, and I'm not enjoying it. So why are they going to be any different? So that was that.
So true. You know, and kids are a really powerful motivator, aren't they?
Oh shit, yeah. And that's a little trick I use in my courses. I mean, I work with mums, right? And some mums don't feel worthy enough. So if they're not, their why becomes their kids. And if you can't see that it's enough for you, then realize that any work that you do is actually going to be beneficial for your children.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do it for them.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us, Abbey, what messages you got for inspiration from my tribe who are striving for self-love, confidence, and to stop their own self-sabotaging behaviours?
Oh, where do I start, Kathy? It's so funny. I was like, we're going to be on here for hours, aren't we? We're going to be on here for hours. I honestly think that the first one is for the mums and dads, that if any work that you do on yourself, understand that it's not just going to be about you, that being selfish is the most selfless thing that you can do for every single person around you, right? And the second one is that, like, we spend our whole life giving a whole heap of fucks, right? And you might have heard this from a lot of different people in a lot of different ways. And you're probably, if you're anything like myself, you're probably giving a whole heap of fucks about things that you don't really want to give a fuck about. So that person over there that actually, you know, isn't saying nice things about you behind your back, you're probably giving them a whole heap of time and a whole heap of energy. You're probably talking to your partner about it, right? You're probably laying awake at night feeling anxious. You're probably sending them sneaky little texts to try and gauge how they feel about you, things like that. What I actually want you to do is actually just take the time to step outside. If there's one motivator, it's the motivator to stop, capture, and actually think of what it would be like if something was different. So whatever you're putting your time and energy into that you really don't want to, that really isn't serving, just take a minute once Kathy and I stop gas bagging on this call to go, imagine how my life would change if I actually wasn't putting that many F's into that person or that situation or that whatever, and realize that that's possible. Like, if you want a motivator, look at Kathy and I. I was probably the most miserable person you've ever met. Seriously, right? Seriously, it's the truth. And if you're at rock bottom at the moment, if you're at explosion moment, if you feel like there's no place lower that you can go and you can't put up with this anymore, use that as your time to make a change. Because if you don't, I guarantee you, whether it's a week later, a month later, or a year later, you're going to be back at this moment. And this moment's bullshit. Right? Yeah. I've been in that moment. It's not a nice moment, and understand that pointing fingers won't work. The only person with the power to make a decision to change or do anything about it is you. And it's okay to get help to do that, but you have to make the choice, because it's very easy not to change.
Yes, it is so easy to not change, and we both know that. And I think that you hit the nail on the head there with choice. I'm all about taking responsibility for your choices and realizing that there is always a choice.
Yeah.
Even when you think there isn't a choice, there's still a choice, because we all have our own free will, and just because it's always been that way doesn't mean it needs to continue. You can choose to change with just, 1 second in time is all it takes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And having the power to not overthink. Like, how many of you overthink the consequences of your choices and then you don't make the choice that you really want to make?
Yeah, overthinking is a thing. Like,
Isn't it?
I can't say I've been one to do it. I'm more of a plan B, C, D, E, F, G, Z girl. But I've certainly have lived with overthinkers, and I could see them driving themselves crazy, overthinking things to the point where he was making shit up in his head.
Yeah. Create your own reality. It hasn't happened, but I've convinced myself that this is what's going on.
Yeah, and that's a real thing. Like, people do that, and I was astounded when I realized that, and I was like, "Whoa, okay, we're not everything at all here, are we?"
No,
So,
that was me in a nutshell.
there's lots of tracks, yeah, for sure. So tell us, Abby, what the future holds for you, babe.
I'm so excited. So Ben and the girls and I took some time over New Year's, and Kathy already knows this because she's one of my marble jar people. But so just for you guys that don't know, I ran off instinct when I met Ben, and I just have to reiterate, I don't actually need Ben. Okay, like both of Ben and I both realized that we don't actually make each other happy. We make ourselves happy, and then they make us happier, right? So we're okay without each other, but our lives are better with each other. We went to this beautiful little place. We hadn't known each other very long, called Langkawi in Malaysia. It's one of my favorite places. And we sat at a place called the Yellow Cafe on the beach there. And we dreamed up this world-changing vision based on our passions, on our kids and ourselves as motivators and our values. And this is now coming into fruition. So the future for me is still living in Bali, potentially moving to Malaysia, but being an owner-operator with a lot of spare time, allowing other people to come through and carry on the vision and values so that I'm time-free, but I'm also sharing the love and sharing my money and my passions with other people. It's doing that. It's showing up every day and being really honest on Ready, Set, Mum, regardless of what people think, because it takes a village to raise a child, but it takes a tribe to help us rise together, doesn't it? Especially as mums. So it's changing the world. It's changing the mindset of money and how rehabilitation occurs and what is to standard and what isn't. It's changing the way that employers treat employees. Did I get that around the right way? Employers treat employees. Yeah, I got that around the right way. Yeah. Absolutely. And it's challenging myself every day, but sitting back and being grateful every day, and being happy with who I am. But my favorite part of the future, Kathy, and I know we've spoken about this before, and often I speak about like you and I sitting on a beach somewhere looking back in 20 years with our books in hand, our books that we've written and our stories, and going, you remember that day when it was, we were all going to throw it in because it got so hard, but we chose not to, and we chose to make that choice. So my world is full of probably excitement and a whole heap of challenge. But I am looking forward to making Ready, Set, Mum the #1 mothering and parenthood website in the Google sphere. Is that a word? It is now. We've just amplified it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And leaving a legacy and making the earth a better place for my kids and for hundreds of thousands of workers right around the world. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
And sharing a number of cocktails with you right around the world too. Oh, and joining you on a bus somewhere at some stage.
Yeah. Whenever that happens, there's always a seat on it for you, Abby, and your darling.
Yes. Thank you.
Tell us how people can follow your journey, and we will put the link up, but I just want you to share that with them in your own words.
What was the last bit, babe? It cut out. Someone else probably hooked their phone up.
How my tribe can follow your journey.
Perfect. So really easy. There's 2 ways. You can just type in Abundant Abbey into Facebook and follow my business page there. I literally just get on live every couple of days and share photos about our family, our journey, our challenges, the funny stuff. Ben and I do things like love each other and throw each other in the pool, and we have a whole heap of fun there. But more importantly, head to readysetmom.net. So that's ready, READY, set, SET, mom, MOM.net. And you can also do the same on YouTube. Become a subscriber and check us out there. It's really cool. It's really cool.
Amazing. Thank you so much for jumping
I
on
thought you froze.
and sharing your story with everybody. I find you highly inspirational, and I know that they will too. And it's great to see you smiling and happy, and even though we have daily challenges, you're always a happy, positive, smiley person through it all, and I admire that so much about you. And it's a quality that everybody should strive to be for, because despite the things we have to face on a day-to-day basis, there are so many things to be thankful and grateful for, in life. So I think that living with the glass half full is always the way to go, right?
Absolutely. I love you. And Kathy, you know that I value your friendship, and I just love you so much. In every way possible. And thank you, of course, for taking care of my clients as well in the area of self-love. I put them in your hands because I love what you do. I love you every day, babe. It's just, people are like, how terrible is it that we get on here and we just banter? But yes, love you, long time. And thank you for being such a lovely auntie to my children.
I miss them so much. I do. I miss them. I often want to just pick them up and cuddle them and live vicariously through you until I have grandchildren that I can do the same.
Come on, Chris.
Yeah.
Come on, Chris.
We'll land out to Chris to them. Yeah. No rush, Tom. Absolutely no rush. You don't want to jump in it like I did. Okay, so we will leave it there before this conversation degenerates, which just might. So thanks again to Abbey for sharing her story. And I hope you guys out there got some real value from that. And please do follow Ready, Set, Mum. It is an amazing, amazing site. And the videos are great. She does things really differently. And you'll have a lot of fun and learn a lot at the same time. And for those of you struggling with your own self-sabotaging, just hit me up, because we do a free 5-day Stop Self-Sabotaging challenge. Had some awesome results from the people who've been through it already, and it just helps you get to that next level, ready to do that, next bit of work on yourself, which is often in my self-love challenge, where you learn things like forgiveness and stopping regret and looking forward and taking your power back, guys, because that's what we all need to do. We need to take our power back, to use a catchphrase, so that we can really take control of what's going on and be the one in charge of our own lives and make our own choices consciously, instead of just letting things happen to us, because that's victim mode. And honestly, no change happens in victim mode, but not a lot of happiness either. So yeah, it's up to you to decide where you want to be in your life and how you want to tackle it. So reach out if you're feeling ready. If you're not, stalk us for a while and just watch. I know we'll talk you into it sooner or later.
I love it.
So that's it from us. I'm Kathy Tate. I'm the Baldwarrior. This is Abundant Abbey from Ready, Set, Mum. And that's Own Your Shit Friday. And we'll see you next week for another episode and another inspiring guest, the beautiful Sarah Devereaux from Coach Masters Academy in Auckland, New Zealand, the youngest master coach in the world, and my very own coach and mentor, as I also have learned to be a transformational coach. She's an amazing, amazing woman. And so I'm going to get to interview her next Friday. Abbey knows Sarah. She is just the sweetest soul, and she will have an amazing story about self-sabotaging too, I am sure. And we'll get to hear that one then. So join me next week at 8 p.m. Perth time in Western Australia for Sarah Devereaux. And that's it from me tonight, guys. I have no idea how to stop this thing. So even funny faces at the end, that's what's going on. So bye, everybody. And thank you. Great face, thank you.
We're still live. You stopped the recording, but we're still live.
I'm showing you now. I've done the button.